Let me tell you something, Shawn. Something's got me really worked up right now.
What is it this time, Josh?
Finn Balor.
Oh, Finn.
He's one of my favorite wrestlers.
Oh, he's one of my favorites, too.
He's your favorite wrestler.
Yes, he is, man.
And ever since he came back from injury, it seems as if the WWE creative has no real direction for Finn Balor. And it's driving me crazy.
What are they doing?
I don't know, but I wish anybody could come in here and fix the booking of Finn Balor. Why? Who are you? Who are you?
What's going on?
What's up? I'm DDP from the Dallas Prospect. I heard you needed a fantasy booker.
Oh,
DDP of the Dallas Prospect, and you're a fantasy booker?
Oh
Man,
my
I am
God.
so glad to see you because we have a pickle here.
We need help.
Finn Balor.
Lay it on me.
Finn Balor, okay, he needs help in the booking.
A lot of help.
So you're a fantasy booker. Please help us.
Fix the situation.
Finn, you wanted Finn Balor.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, Finn.
I don't have anything for Finn Balor, actually.
Nice.
No, but hear me out. The year is 1998. Stone Cold Steve Austin has just beaten Shawn Michaels for the WWF Championship. The following night, Triple H comes out on Raw and declares that he is the new de facto leader of D-Generation X, pushing Shawn into retirement. Or does he?
Wait, whoa, hold up, DDP of the Dallas Prospect. Didn't HBK, the Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels, retire due to back problems, not because Triple H ushered him into retirement?
I mean, technically, but, this is fancy booking. Mine always better. Let's just roll with that.
I'm second guessing this guy.
Me too.
All right, so first and foremost, let's be clear about something. This fantasy booking does not suggest that Shawn Michaels did not injure his back at the 98 Royal Rumble. Instead, it suggests that immediately following WrestleMania, he had back surgery as opposed to spending years trying to self-medicate through drugs and alcohol. In real life, Shawn wouldn't reach rock bottom until sometime in 2001 when he was fired by the WWF right around the time of the WCW acquisition. So with that clear, let's dive into the booking itself. Following his loss to Stone Cold Steve Austin at WrestleMania 14, Shawn Michaels is forced to finally have back surgery to address the injury he suffered at the 1998 Royal Rumble against The Undertaker in their casket match. The following night, Triple H comes out and cuts a scathing promo, declaring, just as he did in real life, that HBK had dropped the ball last night, and that he would now be taking over control of D-Generation X. As his first act, he creates the DX Army, bringing out the returning X-Pac, a fellow clickmate mind you, just as before, and then later in the evening, the New Age Outlaws. Shawn, meanwhile, is out of the picture for a few weeks during his initial rehab. Triple H explains this away by simply saying that Shawn is licking his wounds and sulking like he's wont to do. He, on the other hand, is here to pick up the pieces just as he always has. A few weeks after DX turns face, Shawn makes a surprise return, hitting the DX theme in the middle of a Triple H promo with the entire group in the ring. Michaels declares that the showstopper is back, and that D-Generation X is officially back in business. At this, Triple H dresses Shawn down, reminding him of his failure and pointing out that he's not physically fit to lead after his surgery. "Who knows if you'll ever wrestle again?" he asks. In response to this, Shawn fires back, saying Hunter's only been getting a big head as of late since he hasn't had to carry the Icon's bags. For a moment, Triple H only grins, weighing his response carefully before turning his head and spitting in the ring. He lays into the Heartbreak Kid. "I think you're a bit confused, Shawn. I carried something the past couple of years, alright. But it wasn't your bags. It was your broken ass. Don't forget, before WrestleMania, before you dropped the strap to Austin, hell, before you put your trust in that punk Tyson, you lost your smile, Shawn. You're not the showstopper anymore. You're washed up. You're a has-been who belongs down in Atlanta with the other relics." Incensed, Shawn lunges at Triple H as the group fights to keep the two separated. Then, taking control, Chyna forcefully pushes Shawn back against the turnbuckle, all by herself, holding Shawn while he flails in place, selling that he's being physically overpowered. Still holding his mic, Triple H regains his composure. "Alright, I'm good," he says. Looking to Shawn, he sighs and adds, "Look, that was a bit uncalled for. Honestly, I'm glad to see you back. But this is a new age for D-Generation X. It's bigger than just the Heartbreak Kid now." Though Shawn initially begins to protest, shouting across the ring, Triple H ignores him by asking the other members who they'd rather follow. One by one, each sides with and then positions themselves alongside Triple H, leaving Shawn alone on the opposite end of the ring. The last to move, X-Pac, appears somewhat reluctant, casting his gaze from each man, weighing carefully where his loyalty should stand to his Click brothers. In the end, he too sides with Hunter. Shocked by this, Shawn scrubs a hand down his face and then moves to exit the ring before Triple H calls him back. Whoa, Shawn, hold up. Things might be different now, but nothing's changed between us. The Click is for life. You belong with DX. Still reeling but visibly relieved, Shawn nods and rejoins the group in the center of the ring, exchanging the too sweet gesture with X-Pac and Hunter and giving high fives to everyone else. Although he remains a member of the faction, Shawn will more or less fade into the background while Triple H leads. Over the next few months, Shawn's frustration grows. Under Triple H's leadership, DX has yet to crack the main event scene, let alone bring back the WWF title. On several editions of Raw, he can be seen, sometimes even caught red-handed, politicking for the group to get back into the title picture. This irritates Triple H as he wants to earn it his way and not just have the opportunity handed to him by Shawn. Thus begins the power struggle for control of D-Generation X. Eventually, Triple H does enter his championship feud with The Rock after the Great One wins his first WWF championship following Survivor Series 1998. In the lead up to Rock Bottom in Your House, held in December 98, The Rock is scheduled to face Triple H for the WWF Championship. It's then the corporation begins to sow dissent within DX. At the end of a go-home edition of Raw during a DX promo, the corporation, led by The Rock, flood the entrance ramp. Claiming to have something you're gonna want to see to Triple H, The Rock instructs the production van to roll the footage. In the black and white, semi-grainy footage of good old GTV, remember that? Shawn is seen on his phone having a private conversation with someone he calls Big Daddy Cool. In the call, he expresses doubt about whether or not Hunter can get the job done. The audience, of course, won't hear Nash, but they'll know who he's referring to, another of Hunter's close friends and clickmates. Immediately realizing what conversation is being exposed, Shawn appears visibly upset and moves to the corner furthest from Hunter. Noticing his angst, Triple H watches Shawn as he heads to the corner and then turns back to the Titantron. When the tape ends, Triple H, fuming, turns to Shawn. "You don't think I can get the job done?" he can be heard saying on the hard mic. The other members again step between the two men as HBK attempts to explain himself. But before they can sort things out, The Rock gets in one final dig and the corporation's music hits. The closing copyright graphic flashes on the screen and the show goes off air. At Rock Bottom, Triple H tells DX, namely Shawn, to stay in the back, saying he does not want their help. Why? Because he's determined to prove himself on his own. Later that night, during their match, he and The Rock go back and forth. Triple H is throwing everything at The Rock, but he can't seem to put him away, whether by the Great One kicking out or constant interference from Shane and Vince. Then, in the closing moments of the match, The Rock pulls Earl Hebner in front of a Triple H high knee. Seeing his opportunity, Shawn rushes to the ring and levels Vince McMahon, who's been seated at commentary. Sliding into the ring, he begins to tune up the band in the corner as The Rock staggers to his feet. Just behind The Rock, however, Triple H is also rising to his feet. Shawn goes to deliver Sweet Chin music, but The Rock ducks, causing Shawn to instead hit Triple H. At that moment, Shane flies into the ring, tackling Shawn through the ropes and holding him back from further interference. The Rock drapes an arm over Triple H's chest as Earl Hebner stirs, counting to 3 just before DX can get out there. Having retained his title, The Rock flees the ring with Vince and Shane, his championship belt tightly in hand. A battered Triple H glares at Shawn while the rest of DX stands around the ring, wondering what will happen next. The following night, Triple H and DX come out to the ring to kick off the show. In the promo, Triple H addresses the flub from the night before, telling Shawn that he's dropped the ball again. "You're no good to us right now. I told you to stay away from the match and you couldn't help yourself. You craved the spotlight, and look what it got you. You want DX to bring the title home? Try staying out of our business for a while. Consider this a mandatory vacation." Shaken, Shawn solemnly exits the ring alone, leaving as Triple H continues with his promo and turns his attention back to The Rock. Nearly 2 months pass, bringing us to Royal Rumble 99. In the main event, Triple H has a rematch with The Rock for the WWF title. Flash forward to the end of the match. As things break down and both the Corporation and DX interfere, Shawn makes a triumphant return, running in and tuning up the band just as he did at Rock Bottom. Positioned in opposite corners, The Rock and Triple H stagger to their feet. The crowd swells to a roar as Shawn tunes up the band. Then, at the last moment, he pivots, blasting Triple H once more with sweet chin music and putting the exclamation point on his betrayal with several angry crotch chops. The Rock pins Triple H to retain his championship. Having seen everything, X-Pac hits the ring and goes to confront Shawn, shoving the Heartbreak Kid as he demands answers. Shawn's gaze, however, remains locked on the fallen Triple H. Before X-Pac can get any answers, however, the rest of the Corporation hits the ring, beating the Kid down as Shawn stands impassively. HBK has officially joined the Corporation. Kicking off the show the following night, the DX theme blares. The crowd instantly comes alive, only to turn to boos as Shawn emerges a moment or so later. In the ring, he cuts a scathing promo about how he was the one who built D-Generation X, and how under Triple H's guidance, the faction is now being run into the ground. Triple H may think he's hot shit now, but
he only hangs out with world champions. He's never been one.
as the Attitude Era had a tendency to do around this period, Shawn peels back the curtain a little bit, blending fiction and reality together as he addresses his own drug addiction. He claims that all throughout his banishment, Triple H refused to take his calls, and it was this isolation that drove him deeper and deeper into the hands of his demons. But his actions the previous night were not simply for revenge. In fact, he goes on to say that it's only thanks to Vin Man that he's back at all. That it was Vince who picked him back up and reminded him that he was the Heartbreak Kid, the showstopper, the icon, damn it. Revived by this, Shawn states that although his in-ring career is over, a statement which surprises those in the crowd and on commentary, he has a new role in the World Wrestling Federation. No Chance in Hell hits as the Corporation comes to the ring and Vince proceeds to anoint Shawn the new WWF Commissioner, just as he did in real life. Over the next several weeks, Shawn makes DX's life hell, putting them in impossible situations and keeping Triple H as far from the WWF title picture as possible. Throughout this, he routinely punks his former stablemates in promos, getting in the last word and concluding with,
"Now somebody hit my music!"
This goes on until a title match between The Rock and Mankind. Deciding the only solution is to force the issue, DX gets involved in the match, prompting Shawn to try and remove Triple H from the equation via a chair shot. Instead, Hunter ends up ducking and Shawn blasts The Rock in the head with a chair, allowing Mankind to steal the title. In the resulting fallout of Shawn's blunder, Vince tells him that he has to take care of this Helmsley problem, forcing Shawn back into the ring for a match with Triple H at WrestleMania 15. Although Shawn cannot cancel this match, he decides to still stack the deck against Triple H, forcing Hunter into several brutal matches in the weeks leading up to their showdown. Then, kicking off the go-home edition of Monday Night Raw and seeing that his rival is in a weakened state, Shawn decides to raise the stakes, declaring that the control and intellectual property of DX will be on the line in their match. If Shawn wins, he will disband the faction and Triple H will never see the WWF title picture again. When the match itself arrives, both men come out to the ring playing the DX theme, with Triple H using the actual DX band for a live performance to one-up Shawn. The two have a back and forth match, with Shawn showing surprisingly no rust along the way. In fact, Michaels is controlling much of the match early on, but Triple H refuses to go away, even kicking out of Sweet Chin Music at one point. A visibly frustrated Michaels blasts the ref with the hard right and then proceeds to go get a chair. This prompts X-Pac to run into the ring and deliver a spinning heel kick, which blasts the chair back into Shawn's face. The Rock is the next to enter the fray as he levels X-Pac and then delivers the rock bottom to Triple H before dragging HBK onto the pin. Before exiting the ring, he can be heard audibly telling Michaels that he doesn't make mistakes. He shoves the ref, stirring him and pointing out the pin. The ref turns and slowly counts. 1, 2, kick out. Seeing everything hanging in the balance, both DX and several members of the corporation get involved, leading to a massive brawl outside the ring. Wanting to finish the match, Shawn pulls himself up in the corner and sets up for Sweet Chin Music again. However, just before he can step forward to deliver the kick, Chyna enters the ring and lunges forward, decking Michaels with a low blow. He stumbles forward, allowing Triple H to recover and plant him with the pedigree for the win. This feud would go on to be a best of 3 as Michaels would then deal a devastating blow to DX. During an I Quit match with The Rock on Raw, the Corporation and Kane would capture Chyna and threaten to chokeslam her if Triple H didn't quit, just like what happened in real life. The difference here is that Michaels is the one directing traffic and who in fact came up with the plan. After Triple H forfeits, Chyna turns on him with a low blow, allowing Shawn to deliver Sweet Chin Music. The rest of the corporation keeps DX at bay, beating them down as Michaels explains that, thanks to the almighty dollar, Chyna is now his bodyguard. Putting an exclamation on the insult, Michaels once more tells the production band,
Now somebody hit my music.
Oh, man.
ignoring the fact that his loss at WrestleMania means that he no longer has ownership of DX. Break It Down plays throughout the arena as DX lies in a broken heap. At the following pay-per-view No Mercy, Shawn and Chyna again entered to the DX theme, with JR pointing out they don't even own the rights to the music. At this, King says, "Who cares? I think it's great. They're 2/3 of the founding members. They can do whatever they want." From the jump, Triple H hits the ring and is hot. He's controlling the match and showing a fierceness to his offense he wouldn't be known for until later when he eventually became the Game. Keeping things even, however, is Chyna, who continually gets involved, even decking Triple H several times with a forearm while Shawn runs interference with the official. After several incidents, X-Pac tries to get involved, but Chyna simply body slams him on the outside. In spite of this, Triple H continues to control the match. Though Hunter is livid with Shawn, he's more upset with Chyna's betrayal and ultimately loses his focus in a crucial moment toward the end of the match. Booting Shawn in the gut, he sets up for the pedigree. Chyna pulls herself onto the apron. Hunter pauses, his expression caught between rage and hurt. In the momentary lapse, Shawn rolls from Hunter's grasp and connects with a close-range Sweet Chin Music, falling onto the pin for the win. The following night, Triple H declares he's going to end this bullshit with Shawn Michaels once and for all. At first, Michaels has no interest in the challenge, and why would he? He points out that if it hadn't been for Triple H's hired muscle the first time, Chyna, he would have already swept the series. Now, with Chyna at his side, Trips has no chance, he says. Despite this claim, however, Vince McMahon surprisingly vetoes Shawn's ruling by reminding him that it was his fault The Rock and the corporation no longer have the WWF title. As such, he agrees it's time to end the feud. Gentlemen, this is it. The final showdown. At SummerSlam, Triple H squares off with Shawn Michaels in a 60-minute Iron Man match. Don't worry, I'm not going to go play-by-play through that match. I will, however, give you the important highlights. The two trade falls early, with Triple H having to rally late to claim a clean and decisive victory. Surprisingly, the corporation stays away from the action, which prompts DX to do the same. Even Chyna declines to come out to the ring with Shawn. The announcers speculate this is simply because Shawn wanted to do it on his own, but his body language suggests otherwise, as he's constantly looking around for Chyna and even motioning to the ramp whenever things start to get sketchy for him. Triple H's victory ends the feud for the time being. The following night, Vince explains that he kept the corporation, specifically Chyna, away from Shawn's match because he wanted Shawn to prove he could still do it on his own, which apparently he couldn't. Embarrassed by this, Michaels begins to abuse his power more and more. In corporate promos, he dominates the mic time over both Vince and The Rock, effectively trying to make himself the face of the corporation despite not being a regular in-ring competitor. Still acting as commissioner, he begins to discipline members of the corporation for speaking out against him, including The Rock. For a while, Vince rolls with it, trusting in his former bell cow. But when Shawn's ego begins to get too big, even dressing down Vince a time or two, McMahon gets fed up and demands a public apology. The whole of the corporation surrounds HBK, ready to beat him within an inch of his life if he refuses. Begrudgingly, Michaels obliges. The rebel has become the kiss-ass, Triple H would later say. Throughout the rest of the year, DX and the corporation would continue to cross paths, but Shawn and Triple H wouldn't wrestle again, as Shawn has once more declared himself done in the ring. Leading up to that year's WrestleMania, Shawn begins to talk of brotherhood and scoring a big coup, though he declines to say what he means at the time. Then, 2 weeks before WrestleMania, he drops the bomb during a promo with DX. "Hunter, I took your right hand when I stole Chyna away. And now, I'm ready to take your left. Because as you once said, the Click is for life." Triple H and the Outlaws turn to face X-Pac, but he seems equally bewildered by Shawn's message. This leads to a couple of weeks where Shawn and Chyna try to frame X-Pac as the next member of the corporation, hoping to turn his brothers in arms against him. Then, the unthinkable happens. At WrestleMania, Triple H shocks the world by pedigreeing X-Pac and betraying DX, seemingly joining Shawn and Chyna in the process. The entire corporation celebrates in the ring. Then, out of nowhere, Chyna levels HBK with a forearm shot.
Surprise,
At Vince's behest, Triple H then picks up the showstopper and plants him with a vicious pedigree. A savage beatdown ensues by all the members of the corporation, while Vince runs down Michaels on the mic, declaring him ultimately finished. The kayfabe injuries Michaels would suffer would put him on the shelf for some time, giving him the time off he needs to get his life in order and become a born-again Christian. He would not return to WWF programming until 2002. This fantasy booking not only gives us a proper Michaels vs. DX storyline that we were denied in real life due to his drug addiction and back problems, but, albeit a year later, it does still set up Triple H on his ultimate heel path that leads him to become the Game, to become the Cerebral Assassin, and to become a 14-time World Heavyweight Champion. The difference is, I have Triple H's heel turn occurring in 2000 as opposed to 1999. At the time Triple H left DX in real life, he stated he didn't really feel there was anywhere else he could take the group. Had Shawn been healthy enough to give a proper storyline there, I feel like he would have had at least another year's worth of material as the two former founding members butted heads. Now I know what you're thinking. Would them feuding from 98 to 2000, as I have here, interfere with their real-life feud, which was a classic, by the way, from 2002 really until 2006 when they reformed DX? I don't think so, because in the time that Shawn is gone, Triple H still establishes himself as just about the most despicable heel in the business. And as a result of that, Triple H's ultimate motivation for betraying Shawn, just as he did in real life in 2002, would still suffice: the false reunion of DX. All that would do is flip the script where now Shawn is the face and Triple H is the heel, which I think would actually give an interesting dynamic to this feud. Not to mention, I would really like to see an Iron Man match between prime Shawn Michaels and 2000 Triple H. And that's how I would have booked Shawn Michaels' retirement in 1998. Thank you.
Well, DDP of the Dallas Prospect, that was absolutely amazing. I could see the Heartbreak Kid and Triple H saying all those things in their promos, and it does make a lot of sense that Triple H would go over in the end.
Yeah, I mean, he's the young up-and-coming talent, and Shawn needed time off for his back. He needed time to get his life in order and everything, so it's perfect booking in my ideal world, and that's the only world I choose to live in. So, gentlemen, if that's everything, that's my time, my job is done. Peace.
Wow, that was pretty cool, man. He's a genius, dude. That was good.
I just want to know about Finn.
Oh, yeah.